Kotlin and Flutter are both popular technologies used for mobile app development, but they are fundamentally different in several ways. Here are the key differences between Kotlin and Flutter. 1. Language. Kotlin is a statically typed programming language developed by JetBrains. It runs on the Java Virtual Machine (JVM) and is interoperable with Java. Kotlin is mainly used for native Android app development. Flutter is a UI framework developed by Google, which uses Dart as its programming language. Dart is also developed by Google and is designed for client-side development, mobile, web, desktop. 2. Platform target. Kotlin multi-platform. Kotlin can be used for Android native development, and with Kotlin multi-platform, it supports cross-platform development for Android, iOS, web, and desktop, though it requires separate UI development for each platform. Flutter is primarily focused on cross-platform development, allowing developers to write one codebase and deploy to Android, iOS, web, and desktop platforms with the same UI and logic. 3. UI development. Kotlin, Android native. Kotlin uses Jetpack Compose or traditional XML-based layouts for Android app UI development. Jetpack Compose is a modern toolkit, but it is limited to Android. Flutter uses its own widget-based UI system, where everything is a widget. It provides pre-built widgets and custom widget support, allowing a unified UI experience across different platforms. 4. Performance. Kotlin, native Android. Since Kotlin compiles to native bytecode, Android apps built with Kotlin often have better performance, closer to native. Flutter apps are compiled to native ARM code using the Dart compiler, providing near-native performance. However, as a cross-platform framework, the app may have a slightly larger binary size and performance overhead compared to fully native Kotlin Android apps. 5. Development environment. Kotlin is typically developed using Android Studio, an IDE from JetBrains, or other JetBrains IDEs like IntelliJ IDEA. Android developers can use Kotlin with tools and libraries specifically designed for Android development. Flutter can be developed in Android Studio, Visual Studio Code, or IntelliJ IDEA with Flutter plugins. Flutter provides a rich set of development tools, including the hot reload feature for rapid UI changes. 6. Learning curve. Kotlin, developers familiar with Java or Android development may find it easier to transition to Kotlin because of its close relationship with Java. It requires learning Android's architecture, components, and platform-specific guidelines. Learning Flutter involves understanding Dart and the Flutter framework's widget tree, which can be a new paradigm for developers not familiar with Flutter's reactive, declarative UI structure. 7. Maturity and ecosystem. Kotlin is backed by JetBrains and is an official language for Android development since 2017. It has a mature ecosystem for Android and Java-based server-side development, with a vast array of libraries and tools. Flutter, backed by Google, is relatively newer but has gained a strong following in the cross-platform development space. The Flutter ecosystem is growing rapidly, and it has a vibrant community, but certain platform-specific features may require custom native code for full implementation. 8. Use case. Kotlin, ideal for developers looking to build native Android apps or use Kotlin multi-platform for shared business logic across platforms but with separate UIs for each. Flutter, best suited for developers who want a single codebase for building cross-platform apps with consistent UI/UX across both Android and iOS. 9. Code reusability. Kotlin, multi-platform, allows sharing of business logic across platforms, but the UI layer is platform-specific, Android/iOS. Flutter provides full code reusability across Android, iOS, and other platforms, meaning you write once and deploy everywhere with the same UI. 10. Community and support. Kotlin, strong support from JetBrains, Google, and the large Android development community. Flutter, backed by Google, with a rapidly growing community and lots of open-source plugins, libraries, and resources for cross-platform development.